Peace and blessings, family. This is your brother Asar Imhotep with the Martin Delaney Center for Egyptology. Today is Sunday, April the 24th, 2022, and we have with us a very, very special guest, Dr. Susan Tatah, who is the creator and host of Pan African Daily TV. She is a philanthropist and social entrepreneur. She is also one of the speakers at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference that will be in Detroit. So, we're going to find out a little bit more about her life, what she's going to talk about, and her current projects. All that and more when we return in just a moment. And welcome back to the Mbongi. And I know this is an odd time that we would normally do our at least our live shows, and but that is because our guest is currently in Germany, and so she is across the waters, and so we are blessed to have her. It was an early morning there and a super, super early morning here on the East Coast of the United States. So it just became over midnight for those of you who are on the West Coast. So whether you are catching us in Europe, in Africa, in the United States, or even Australia, we're welcome to have you here. It is a blessed moment, and I'll re-premiere this a little later on today for those of you who are currently asleep but dreaming you could be here live with us at this moment. And before then, of course, I just got a few announcements. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning of the intro about the One Africa Conference, Power in Unity is the theme. And it is going to be on Saturday, April the 30th, 2022. And it's a 2-day conference. So it'll also be on that Sunday, May the 1st, at the Doubletree Hotel in Detroit, Michigan. So make sure that you go to hoppyfilm.com and purchase your tickets. So it is an in-person conference. But if you can't make it and you are not in the area, you can live stream the program. Either way it goes, you will go to hoppyfilm.com, whether you will be there in person or you will catch the live stream to purchase your ticket. So it's right there on the homepage. You'll be able to see it once you get there. So it's a host of great speakers: Dr. Milana Karanga, Professor James Smalls, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries' brother, Mfudishi Jehuti Mess, Dr. Teofalo Binga, Jabari Osazi, Kabini, excuse me, Dr. Kamine, and the wife of Dr. Boyce Watkins, and that is Dr. Alicia Watkins. And I know she's going to be talking about relationships in business. So you don't want to miss that. We have also Professor Bayina Bello out of Haiti, Brother Riza Islam, and it will be hosted by Dr. Kenneth L. Harris. And of course, your brother Asar Imhotep is going to be in the building. I don't know if I mentioned Shahrazad Ali. But if I did forget, she will also be there in person. And of course, last but not least, our guest today, Dr. Susan Tatah, will be there. And so she will be flying in from Germany and blessing us with her presence. And she has blessed us today with her presence. So we'll get to know her just a little bit more deeply in just a moment. And don't forget that we are doing a fundraiser for the documentary film that I am producing called China Into. And one of the ways in which you can help support is to join the Patreon. And so you'll get exclusive videos and other perks when you join the Patreon page. That is patreon.com/Asarm Hotep, that is. And you can go to the website that is built for the project, the ChinaIntoFilm.com. And you can, make a donation on either one of those platforms. So, and for those who don't know what the film is about, we will be demonstrating the relationship between ancient Egypt in terms of culture, language, philosophy, psychology, religion, and the modern Bantu speakers. And so, as we argue that the ancient Egypt belongs to the Into universe, and so now we're going to take the research off the pages so that you can see the living tradition in real life. So, if you want to see this film come into fruition, again, visit ChinaIntoFilm.com. The address is on your screen, and support our initial thrust. And so there's more details when you go there. And so I want to thank all of you who are catching us live. um, Zane Montego and Donnie Williams, you've been patiently waiting. Fire Knowledge Unveiled, Travel Light is in the building. Brother Kofi is in the building, and Anthony Bowman is in the building. And of course, those of you who are watching us from Facebook, and of course, those of you who are watching us live from Twitter. Unfortunately, when you type in live during Twitter, it doesn't show up on the back screen. So they haven't added that feature just yet. And um, so hopefully we can get that in. And all of you who are watching who haven't made yourselves known in the chat, I do see you and recognize you, and thank you for joining the live program. So without further ado, I want to introduce our special guest, Dr. Susan Tatah. Am I saying that correctly, Tatah?
Very, very correct, brother.
All
Susan
right.
Annie Tata. It's
All
just that
right.
Annie is the baby name, and everyone who knew me or who knows me from childhood or from birth usually would call me Annie.
Ah, and what does that name mean?
Annie means a babysitter or a caretaker, or
Mm,
someone is who's just there to take care of every other one's needs.
mm,
And it's so funny how these names actually, when we name ourselves, we actually carry that responsibility. And so, like in the village, they were always like, "Oh, watch out, whose name you're naming your child or your person." And so, because actually those attributes and characteristics are actually going to follow her. But Amy is actually my father's grandmother. So I'm like the grandmother, yes, in the family. That's the meaning.
indeed, indeed. Well, speaking of, before we get into the Power and Unity Conference, the One Africa Conference,
Mm.
and we get to the Pan African Daily TV, um, tell us a little bit about where you were from and where you were born, and what was that community like there? What do you remember growing up? What was the sense of community that that you experienced in that place? And then we'll get into how that shaped what you do to this current day.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you for having me on this program, though it's so very, very early here. And you can see I'm still kind of like, okay. But yes, and I want to thank all your visitors that are staying up at night now. Like I heard you were saying in East Coast is about 3:45 a.m. Or and in the other parts almost 12. So
Mm,
yes, if people actually would stay awake, if Africans would stay awake to get knowledge and to get empowerment, that's already a very good sign that we're already in this power and unity spirituality. So I really want to thank your guests that stayed up till now, that we do respect them, and because of them, that's the reason why we are also staying awake or getting up so early. So we do appreciate them. So coming back to your question, I am born and raised in the southern Cameroons, what we call today Amazonian's conflict zone now, and everybody should actually know about it. Since 4 years, there's been a war in this
mm,
province of Cameroon, and everything has been grounded. So everybody knows it, and the whole world should know it. So I'm born and raised in this southern Cameroon, particularly in the northwest province in Momo division, and in a little village, in a very small village of 300 inhabitants, all full with nature. And I think we only got electricity, or had to see electricity, when I was already in high school. And so
mm,
everything we used was the local lamps, and that's how I grew up. Even though I left the village at a very early age to reside with my elder brother, which was a step brother, in the city. But every vacation we came up, and the rest of my siblings were in the village. And so growing up in my village, which I cherish, and I don't, like you said, we'll be talking about what I remember. I think it's not what I remember about the village. I'm still right in. And
mm,
the African proverb that says you can take Africa, or someone from the village or out of the village, but you can never take the village out of them. And
mm,
so even if civilization in one way or the other kind of like shaped my life and put me into the steps that I've been now, I just consciously refuse to stay out of the village. I am really in soul, spirit, and everything. So it's not like I have a memory. I'm just there. I'm sitting here, but my whole soul in everything is in that village. Because later on, you would understand why we never leave. Even the enslaved, like we're talking, when this took people away, they never leave. Their souls and their bodies may be across the oceans or buried, but their souls returned back to where their origins are, and that's the earth
mm.
where we are born and raised, and the waters and the mountains and the rivers and everything that we walked in actually shaped us to what we are today. Yes.
I appreciate that, and that sense of connectedness to home. You find that no matter where you go in the world, for anybody who has grown up in a certain area, and it's that it is those experiences, especially in your formative years, that you bring into the current work that one does.
Mm.
And again, we'll get to that, but uh, I want to talk about, because you're known for, like, the social entrepreneurship and and business and the like. So what encouraged you to go along that educational path, after high school?
Oh, I left at the age of 24 and came to Europe. And after graduating and having a law degree, And so it was just like the conflict that I'm talking about in the southern Cameroon started way back in '98, and most of us had to leave because there
Mhm.
just was not no possibilities. You're living in a country that is your own, but you're just like a foreigner to that country. And so when this
Mhm.
agitations started up, that's how I also started at a very tender age. And by then I used to go to church. I used to be very religious, and so I started even my demonstrations or getting students together from the campus to the church house and stuff like that. And because of that, it really was a problem because I was getting so loud, and the energy was still very fresh. And
Yeah.
yes, so that's what actually took me out of Cameroon's, and I relocated to Germany. And
Mhm.
in Germany, um, to get the process integrated was first of all a shock. The kind of shock, like some people always like, "Look, why did you even choose Germany?" Actually, I didn't even choose Germany, but it just happened that, okay, destiny would bring me here for the course actually that I would find later on during my works and my studies in Germany. The reason actually why I came here. um, I want to throw back, like when I had a conversation with you, and you're like, the first steps that we have to know is who we are, what is our purpose in life, what are we here to do, and what are we
Mhm.
actually doing that. Sometimes we really don't even know, and we shouldn't even know, as a matter of fact. But if we know that we're just here on a big plan, on a divine plan, and everything that we're doing, that plan just takes us into that space. So at every moment, any space that we are in is just that master plan of our ancestors, that we were going to bring you into this, into this human flesh, and that you would do this work. So most of the things that we actually do, from what I know now, is it has been a plan that has been there. So we only exercising that plan. But getting back to connecting to the consciousness is when we do know now, at that point in stage, when we matured, going through all the challenges that they actually would block us, would kind of put a blind. You don't even know why you are doing it until you then they open your eyes to that point now when you see, oh, okay. And that's when we start talking about knowing who you are and your purpose. But before, all these things would just like, model you into the passage on which your purpose on earth had to be fulfilled. So when I came to Germany, everything is just that mystic that I said. It's just the plan. And so we do these things thinking that, we're doing it from our own personality, or this is what I want in life, and this is what I wish in life. But you see, even the wishes that we have in life, because of that master plan of our ancestries that we brought here for a purpose, um, you might think some other thing, but then they would direct you and actually give you your purpose in life. So it's more or less on what I want, but more of what I was given to do. But that what I was given to do, you only would realize it in your later life. But
Mhm.
what you want is what we in the physical, being programmed through the systems of our education, have. And so that's why sometimes we're not fulfilled, because we're always in the presence of what I want. But then until we
Mhm.
grow up into a purpose that is divinely, when I say divinely, the universe, ancestors, the creators of the divine, shapes you into that thought as a co-creator to understand the purpose why you were here. I know it's a kind of little bit complicated because maybe I'm not really putting it in the way you Americans should understand, but the spirit of our connectivity will just, model you to get the point where I'm trying to say. So, like, what I wanted for me when I came here was just like, oh, like every other migrant that will leave the continent, just want green pastures, coming up from my village. And I used to see all this kind of, pictures in the television about how the West was, particularly Germany. And that's because also Germany was part of the colonial masters of Cameroon before the French now and before the Portuguese. So I would, for myself, see Germany like, wow, this is the model, this is the paradise. And I would, in that space at that time, look at my village as very primitive. You know, we don't have roads, we don't have electricity, we don't have the skyscrapers, we don't have, the kind of thing. So I really was like envious of this mega buildings and lightnings. It was just like it's a paradise. I just dream to leave. And that was even the reason why, we started, revolting against our governments, against our systems, against our people. And we look, everything was just like primitive. Everything was like, plastic. But
Mhm.
the contrary is what we know now. So that is what I would want from me as Amy. I wanted to just come out, leave where I could not get that opportunity. I was being chased and out of that. So all my intentions was just to come to Germany, and I would just find all these glories that they're showing us so I can help my village. First, I can help my mom and my father and my siblings. Because I considered myself that time as really the poor of the poorest, as the underprivileged, as the village girl that didn't even know anything, right? And so I was really anticipating to, oh, I'm going to come here and I will learn how I can develop my village and how I can, everything that was so flashy. That was the what I wanted, me in the physical. But
Mhm.
my ancestors knew actually why I came and why they brought me into the space, and they would begin to put my steps, but also aligning with what I wanted, but in a way that I would realize actually who I am. And so when I came to Germany, that was my passion, that was my drive. But then when I came, firstly, I was shocked. The weather, because I arrived around the November, December when it was totally snow, and I've never seen snow. I never seen anything like that. And I was dressed in a very simple, beautiful, transparent top, and just like we dress in Cameroon, and the weather on the continent is so beautiful. You don't even think. And I had some, high heels on, but no socks, or anything under. And so when I got into the train, the first thing is the way people looked at me was like, definitely they were like, where's she from? Dressed like this. Where she think she's coming from? And so every other person around me was just looking at me. And beautiful me, I was thinking, wow, look, they're looking at the princess, because I was the only one, unfortunately, or fortunately. At that time, I'm 21, 23 years now in Germany. At that time, you barely would just see Africans. So when I traveled through the trains and then I came to my destination where I was, I didn't see any black person. I didn't see any African. I just saw them. But you know what? Still in my memory in Africa, everybody that I saw looked black because I was just coming in. So I didn't really, I was not yet in there. My spirit was still back home. So though I saw them and I was just smiling, busy smiling at anybody that was looking at me until this journey brought me. Then I started like, wow, this is the reason why they're looking at me. Maybe strange, like, who's this one from? So black, like from the night. And I was busy just in my natural element, just like smiling as usual, um, being generous, the spirit of oneness. And I would like, close to that. And you see, they will be shifting. I didn't even register anything that was happening at the time. So when I
Mhm.
got to doing my degree, my master's degree, and I begin to see some of those futures. I mean, you have to stop me because it's a whole train. If you want me to stop and you want to ask something, just know because this
Oh no,
is
you're filling some questions, some pre questions. Um, but I will ask. Well, first and foremost, for those of you who are just joining the conversation, we are here today with Dr. Susan Tatah, originally from Cameroon, but she's with us live in Germany.
Mm.
And so it's early in the morning there and earlier in the morning here. And we'll be re-premiering this later on tonight for those who are currently asleep. Um, but she is going to be one of the keynote speakers at the One Africa conference, the One Africa Power in Unity conference, and in Detroit on April 30th and May the 1st at the Doubletree Hotel. So, to find out more information about the event, which is uh, essentially in 1 week, this coming weekend, go to hoppyfilm.com. And so while we're on the subject of the One Africa conference, what is going to be your topic when you come and you speak uh, for us?
My topic is gonna be more or less on. I just kept it short.
Mm,
Like it can be done. Play your part, and that
mm,
can be done is the whole um, a situation of how we can be a part of the resources that we own as Africans worldwide, starting from the geographical location, which is our continent where all of us came from. Um, it's not possible that we own the world's reserve in minerals, all sort of minerals. Some are still even not discovered, right? We
mhm,
have the most beautiful spaces, landscape. We have all species and types of animals that are not even existing anywhere else, only in Africa. We have a civilization that is dated, I mean, like the co creators of the universe. We have herbs. I mean, all types of herbs. Today, I was just making, yesterday, sorry, because we're in the morning, I was just making a list of um, what we're going to be showcasing during the Africa Expo in Germany, which is coming in August. And I can stop listing those herbs that we have, which is something that, like I said, we take for granted when I was growing up in the village, and we just do those things. And I begin to realize that we're not even going to have them now because most of those things actually have died away. And I was talking to my mom, she's pretty really an older now, and she's like, "Oh, you won't have some of them anymore." So, and
mhm,
you look at that, you look at our mountains, you look at our rivers. I mean, if you look at just the physical, the human capacity that we have, 50%, they keep saying 42%, I keep saying 60. Everything that they say, we just have to add, a 10, 15% to the reality. So a young growing continent, which is, whether they like it or not, civilization likes it or not, is going to be the owners of the continent, and so of the whole world, sorry. So what is that? This reserves are going to be like, let's just take in the sector of food in agriculture, and they keep, we keep seeing these narratives about, you know nutrition or lack of food security and all that.
mhm,
Yes, but we already are knowing, and we have seen now through our works, through our journeys, that we're going to feed the world. We already know that agriculture is going to be that modern currency. We're going to trade with agriculture in our products and our food. Is going to be the modern currency that would that is already known, as a matter of fact. So um, play your part is like, how can we come from such a rich heritage with everything endowed in it, and we are poor? So something is not adding up. Something is not adding up just because we are stuck, and it's intentionally done to keep us in this bubble. So now play your part is going to break us open, and we're going to fly. That fly out is, now we already have been through our engagements seeing the pieces that are missing. So like I said all the time, we're going to be taking stock of those pieces, and we fit that puzzle together for us to
mhm,
own our land, our continent, our resources, our talent, our ability, our capabilities, our skills, our knowledge, and owning it is already this time that we're talking about, and that we start trading with one another. And that's why the projects that I've been doing in Germany, when I come back to your earlier question, like what took me through this. Actually, I can say when I heard the term social entrepreneur, we're just trying to put some words so people could understand a little bit. I'm not a social entrepreneur, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
because entrepreneurship already is that. I think I'm just here to give something, and I've always been giving ever since I started this project, even the ones that I started in Germany, the festivals for African culture. Because during my MBA course, I realized that the case studies that we were doing, though they were Harvard case studies, did not reflect the reality of where I come from. And
Mm.
you can imagine, I grew up in the urban, but I come from the village, and I really had not traveled any other country on the continent. But everything is aligning, whether you are in just a little village in the east or in the west or in the north, and we're not the white north of Africa. Everything is the same,
Mm.
almost, with some a little bit of similarities, but it's the same thing. So when I saw those case studies, when we were talking about um, relocation and production and industrialization and stuff like that, okay, it would always be in that time where Germans were relocating their production to China. And so
Mm.
when we would talk about that, it's going to always be China. And I was in my MBA class with Chinese also that just came, and as usual, I was the only African
Mm.
in it. We also had an Egyptian girl, but they don't call themselves because of their skin tone or whatever. They privileged to us the
Mhm.
black skinned. So,
Mhm.
and every time when it came to like hunger, poverty, wars, diseases, and abuse, poverty would always have that face of a girl child, of a woman. Then when it came to issues like abuse in marriage or rapes, or then it will have the African king face on it, right? And
Mhm.
like I said, even in my element, because I just thank our ancestors that they protect us from these things. Because the revolutionary that I was back at home, if I knew already even the impact of why they were doing that, I think I should have started long before in Germany, right?
Mhm.
And I would have been, and I quarreled with all my professors at every point, at every class. I always was like, no. It started from day one when I came late, and I came 1 hour late. 1 hour. And they just looked at me, was like, and I strolled in smiling at everybody and sat down. The class was almost half gone. And then we finish and we go. And then day two, I came 30 minutes late.
Mm.
And then the next, in the course of that week, then I became. And one morning, my professor was like, "You're always late." And then I like, you should be even grateful that now I'm even from the 1 week. So instead of
Mhm.
you congratulating me and say that I'm now punctual, you're even accusing me. No, please just congratulate me.
Mhm.
And so it became like everything that I said, I had to question it. Why must I really be on time when I have to take my time? That's in my nature. But I
Mhm.
was also not conscious. I just did it from the original African me. Not that I wanted to prove a point that I'm an African, I have to come late. But it was
Mhm.
just in my nature that I came late because I was not used to the time. I know I do it from a passion, and I want to learn something that I need for myself. I didn't even was thinking that I want to learn it to look for a job. So and
Mhm.
that's how we grew up in the village. If I have to go to the farm with mom, or we have to go somewhere else, she will not be telling me, oh, at 9 o'clock, she didn't even know we didn't have clocks. So we just like,
Yeah.
look, the weather is good now, the rain is not falling now, and now it's time. Okay, we have to go. And she will always look at the skies and like, the sun is going to be rising very soon. And when it's in the middle, then that we should know that we should be eating. And when it's setting down at this time, we should be getting ready to go back home. And that's our
Mm.
orientation. And you coming from the space, and then being in a strange plastic situation where everything is regulated. Actually, it was a pain for me. But
Mhm.
Africans, we adapt and even take that space most of it. So within 1 month, I came even earlier, right? And so, and yes, this case studies how business was being done here from the perspective Africa was never in the picture of that. And
Mm,
literally, it was intentionally made to keep you on that place that Africa is a donor. They have to be receiving instead of being a part of that. And that's what actually motivated me to say, okay, after my MBA class of 18 months, with good grades, I came out now. Not good grades in technology, I'm not a technical freak or calculations, I was the last in that one, but I was good when it came to interpersonal relationship, communication, the to-dos and not the to-dos. So I'll be the one even come to class and set up the class and the schedules, greeting everyone, because that was in my nature. I was people oriented. I really was not those structures oriented. And I think playing my part at the One African Conference is actually be that unapologetically spirit of us, not trying to fit, but try to
mm,
already know that we've taken stock of what we can. And now it's time for us to get out of that bubble and start trading with one another and start
mm,
owning our resources and start knowing that what is underground, what they show us is, is more. What is in the
mm,
physical, like I said, our rivers, our air space is even more, and even what is even above, right, is more. So, but how do we gain this wealth? It's not just a physical wealth of light, but it's
mm,
that interrelation, like I said, a more interpersonal. How do we communicate? How do we relate with one another? And how do
indeed.
we give? I heard you talked
Mm,
about the Patreon page and the projects that we should be connecting to. Those are the things that move me. These are the
mm,
things that I know for me to be a privilege to be a part of that project that you're doing. And you're
mm,
calling me and giving me the opportunity to be a part by placing my time and something that I have. I don't want to call it money, and giving something and sharing. It's an honor when you come from the village to share. It's an honor to give. It's an honor for even someone to ask you to give. It was
mm,
really a privilege if somebody would ask you, do you have the, and you can see everybody rushing and wanting to give because, oh,
mm,
I'm a part, and I'm a part of this, and I'm even called to the table to give. And so you see,
mm,
we see even in the modern religion, when they wrote the Bible and start saying, oh, it's better the hand that give it is more than the hand that receive it. That's African. That's just African.
mm,
We never were, I have to have this huge bank account and live in this materialistic, because we as humans knew we are just here as an extension of our ancestors to play our role, to shape and even offer solutions to the world, to the dying world, right? And so give
indeed.
and being a process of a particle, like the work that you're doing, like the book and the movie or the film that you're producing, and calling me, I just mean all of us to be a part. Wow, that is
Mhm.
a festival for us in the village, right? And so the One
Well,
African Conference, yes.
no, no, I was just going to say, speaking of giving, that those of you who are watching, you can give a little bit of your essence right now by liking the video
Mm.
and that's right, hitting the subscribe button and join the community, the Mbongi, so that we can get the word out every time we have these very dynamic and informative and special and high spirited guests, such as our current guest today, Dr. Susan Tatah. Who is joining us today from Germany. She is also one of the major speakers who is going to be in Detroit on April the 30th and May the 1st for the One Africa Power and Unity Conference. And so I will let you continue. I'm sorry.
Sorry, no. Why sorry? And yes, I just want to encourage the viewers and those that are going to even watch this later on to say
Mhm,
it is in our nature. But now you see, because we've gone through all this, how do I want to say, this plastic life. So people now
mhm,
start always telling us what we need to do, like click the like and subscribe to this or donate to this. And
mhm,
yes, it is also a call to action, because like giving an invitation for somebody to be a part of this process. So I really would encourage all of you to just like, and it has to be something that is in us. It's just like the giving. I always try to measure these things from the village. Um, you come into a house, you're not going to ask, oh, can I come? Are you in? And you're going to hear, hoo hoo, Ubi. That's how my mom, what we call the friend, Ubi. Yes,
mhm,
I'm warm water. Where are you going to in the morning? No, I had to go very early because I have to go to the farm. No, but just come and let's share a meal together. You cannot just pass through my door like that or my compound like that. And she would do everything. And when we leave our own to go to the farm, so you would see all every compound. Oh, Obi, no, come sit down. I had a piece of plantain here. You have to drink water and before you get there. So it is in our nature. This all these transitions and all the plastic lives that we've been through, we've forgotten. But now we have to we're reminding ourselves by this connection to know this is just truly who we are. And in this space, nobody lacks anything. The fact that they call you to like, to subscribe, no, it's not a lack. It's not a must that we want, but it's a part of a whole of a collective. And so those of us that are already conscious, we just do it. Nobody is going to be telling us. But those of us that maybe joined late and didn't even know when we're going to get our tickets for the
mhm.
One Africa conference, you go to happy.com and you're going to see what, I mean, I cannot wait. I cannot wait just because I want to I want to really look at all of you in the faces and like, how come we have the same nose? We have the same everything. And I call you an African and American, and you call me a continental African. What really happened? I've been
Mm,
saying it all the time, but now when we will meet in Detroit, and like we're speaking on the Mbongi family here, I just want to just look at us. I'm sure I'll be short of word. I'm not really even sure. I was telling Sister Felicia that,
mhm,
are you really sure I'm going to present something? Because I just think I'll just sit. I don't know what I'll be talking about, because just looking at us and just being
mhm,
there is what I want to enjoy the most. Like looking at you like you don't recognize me
mhm,
and I
mhm,
don't recognize you. What happened that I lost this memory of you? And what happened that you lost this of me? So you
mhm,
don't really know me again, you know. And yes, so I think the collective is the power and is the biggest what we call a corporate or what advantage that we have. That is the
mhm,
biggest trade-off that we can use to be the African number one. And we
mhm.
talking about resources or that. That's not really it. That was just given. That's just given. That's part of us. But we're going to transit and we're going to leave these ones there. So that, yes, is take, use, and leave and go. But what
Mhm.
remains is this act of sharing and giving. Any
Yeah.
money that you're going to donate to the Mbongi family, you pay your ticket to be live if you are not present at the One African conference. I don't know how I can explain this to you from the concept of the more the abundance, because that's the village. The concept of the abundance is our spirit. The, this
Mhm,
this issue of the lack and the wanting, and they always wanting, and they always wanting, even when you have, you always want to have. And the worst thing is when you have too much, then you begin to feel lonely, then you begin to feel
mhm,
sad, and now you begin to want to go back to the village to the abundance space. But unfortunately, you're never going to go back there. It's a one-way street in this dimension. All right. So I used to always just advise people or share this content to like give it away. It's a burden. Fiat
Indeed.
is a burden. It is. You only would get back the compensation of this burden when you give, when you share with those that did not have that enough until we are complete, until we are complete. And this abundance. And so
Mhm.
the plastic ice, which we're even looking at the continent and saying, oh, look at these children, they are hungry. Oh, we need to build roads. Imagine we're going to carry all this toxic and then clone our street, our earth, Mother Earth. And so we are walking on a plastic street. We're not connected to nature. When
Mhm.
they came and it's like, oh, they didn't have shoes and they brought their plastic and then you put it on your and then they even put a distance on it like for us women the heels. So the higher you go on it, the more higher you are elevated from your natural space. But in the
Mhm.
village we ran barefoot, so we were with him, the divine, because we're co-creators. We ran bare in the rains and washed it from the natural space, not these fake ones that they throw on us. And so that spirit was that spirit of abundance. And that's the reason I say I don't want to say I'm a social entrepreneur because I've been giving my projects in Germany. I put more than 2 billion on it in terms of volunteering, in terms of everything that I had from my kids to everything we just were putting in. They don't have a saving account. I don't have one, right?
Mhm.
And but we never lacked anything because that spirit of the brothers and the sisters that were coming to this project and everything that we'll have, the little entry fee, the little drinks that we'll bring. And us Africans, when we come, we share a lot. We give food, we give drinks. The more we're happy, the more we're highly spirited, the more we give. So I want to encourage all your viewers to give. When you give, you're going to go down to the space of abundance. Don't take the religious setup of giving. Even that one was taken from us because your prophet sitting here, Brother Asa, is
Mhm.
a prophet. When we say prophet, don't be religious about it. I'm a traditionalist. But even that word was taken from us. Okay. So give. Don't even question. He mustn't show us an the book or the thing that he's doing in the village. We gave without asking, what are you going to do with it? Because we know that it's a prophetic thing to give. We know that it was a privilege or an honor to give and to share. Brother, am I talking too much and you want to
No,
add?
you. I speak about this. I was just letting you rock because it's because when I have these conversations on my platform, and of course, when I'm, and we'll get into the Pan African aspect of this, and especially the Pan African TV, which I have put the link in the chat for those of you who are watching, because I want y'all to go to her channel, subscribe to her channel, and then view many of the interviews that she has. So she has a dynamic list of speakers. But because I deal with ancient Egypt a lot, and but I also deal with Central Africa, Southern Africa, and I'm comparing these these two regions. And when you're reading the Egyptological literature, they're always talking about how foundational Ma'at is to the solidification of the country, its morals and ethics, and its spirituality. And when I started going through the literature, and of course, because I like to use the tool of historical comparative linguistics,
Mhm.
I was not finding an adequate etymology for the word ma'at. And so I took it upon myself to dedicate some time to do that systematic analysis. And when I completed my study, I come to discover that one, ma'at is different words that just come to sound alike, or at least it's written alike because they didn't write their vowels. But the main aspect of ma'at, because what you'll see in the hieroglyphs or on the pages is that people are offering ma'at. But what I come to discover is that ma'at comes from a root that essentially means to share food. And the basis, it is kind of the symbol of hospitality and this notion of giving. And I had to redefine ma'at for the textbooks. And in terms of, I define it as open-hearted sharing. And that is, even when you find the cognates, that means the the genetically related variants of the word across the continent, it is built like the culture is built off of that same particular principle. So when you're talking about the village life and the sharing and the giving and the hospitality as key and critical for the dynamics of the village itself, the life of the village itself, it just reminds me, it just reinforces this research that I've done in these particular areas. And it's nice to hear it from someone who's lived it there,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's just not academic research,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of us who are in the diaspora, as real as tangible. And when they understand those particular principles, then you'll understand the Africanness of for example, the ancient Egyptian society itself, because it's built off of those same particular principles. But I want to ask, because we'll be wrapping up soon, the motivations. Okay, what is the Pan African TV? What motivated you to create it, and what can they expect when they come and visit your channel, and the type of guests and discussions that you have there?
Or just like any of my projects, I just, like I said, we're on this journey. I just found myself that I also did it, and never had been a journalist, or neither had I ever sat in front of a camera. But what I know, I used to, since from the age of 3, just get up and stand in front of people and just speak. The first experience I had at this 3 was in the village when we had this Christmas Eve, and they were reciting these Bible verses, and my mom, was sitting in the crowd, all the elderly women, and so the children that had already recited their verses went out, and I was just so small, and they didn't even put me in that category. And so when they finished their recitation, and I just jumped up and I put up my hand and I just went and stand, and I stood in front of the crowd, and I just said a verse, Matthew chapter 8, verse this, and I just recited. And I went and sat back, and everybody just burst out, and they were laughing, and they caught me, raised me up, and stuff. And so at that time, I was already unstoppable, and nobody, I wouldn't ask for a space to be given. I just took my space, and I just did it in such a way like I didn't even know anything that was happening. So 2020, we started the Pan African Daily TV. Actually, not even like the Pan African Daily TV now. We just started having conversation about the social distancing and the pandemic, and just giving information, because I knew these informations would not get to the continent. That was my first priority. The continent would not have a clue about everything that is cooking out. And so they will always be the last and the less privileged to get that information. And so that's how I got to start at it, just small, just sharing, talking about this issue out here. And then what actually pricked that was the death of our brother George Floyd. That was when Pan-Africanism, and I think when he made that mention and he said, Mama, Mama, that was the call, that was the magic, that break that our ancestors said, no, now it's over. Now, game over. And so when that call came, and it was the night before we were on the Pan African Daily talking about, all these structures and why African will not have his own solution to this COVID that is coming out. We'll be waiting, just talking about the stuff. And then in the studio, somebody texts me on my WhatsApp and like, oh, an African American has been killed. And and the story was like, it was not even yet out, right? And then the morning after, we got into this. Wow. I just got up and I went live on the show and I started shouting, crying, just crying. Like somebody has to hear me out here. And then later on, we got into that conversation. That's how the Pan African Daily became now. Because I was making that noise, I was crying, I was weeping. Then it started catching the attentions, of course, when you're talking about one of us in the diaspora, wherever it is. And then it became this hype that the whole world was. And we talked about that for 1 month. We cried. And I started calling everybody that I knew. Please come on the show, come and explain this to me, because I don't even know what this is all about. And we started, we run that program for a month. And then after that one, again, China came with how do we treating our African brothers and sisters in China, during the COVID, throw them out, just like what was happening in Ukraine recently. And we also started that one. We were crying, we were making the noise. I started calling to all the leaders, all those that we had heard them talking. I called Dr. Arikana Shimoko, I called Professor Pierre Olumumba. Professor Pierre Olumumba, I had met him in Germany when he came to my project at the Pan-African conference in 2019. And so when I called up to him, he's like, what is going on? I said, didn't you hear that? They just murdered one of us in the state. He's like, who is that? And then I begin to realize how disconnected information's here. How people are dying every day, being hung, being racist, being marginalized, being killed at every moment. And nobody heard about it on the continent. And I was like, what? So this is actually what was happening. And then we started. I called Maponga Joshua. I called all of them. I really was targeting on the continent at that time. Call all it. Didn't you hear this? This, and all that hype. It just started connecting. And that time I used to run it for 3-4 hours, brother. I would just sit there and I open the lines. I just tell people, please call. Because that's the village style of a cry die. When something would happen, the whole village has to be alerted and everybody is running and coming in. And so that spirit was just in me like, how could it be happening that they're just killing another daughter of us, Brenna? Like, all of them, every series just happening. Everything was just like the puzzle, just falling, like we were collapsing. That heat was what actually exploded the Pan-African Daily. People started following. And after that, we saw this village in Ghana. Those were the three events that I'm telling you, in this Ghana, where they carried up this Chinese man on the head. And like, wow. I called Joshua again. I said, Joshua, now it was happening in the diaspora. Now it's happening right at your back doors. You should be going to Ghana. What do we see? But the Ghanaians could not understand it. Why are you talking about like this, Annie? It's normal when Chinese people come to our village, this kind of symbol that we see us in the slave. I mean, I don't want to even think about it. Carrying the slave masters on our heads, on our soldiers. That just happened in 2020, in the new decade. And I was like, that's when it started opening up. Oh, okay. How do they even sneak in? Now you look at what they're doing to our people in their country, and you are here celebrating them, carrying them. They say, yes, that's how they do. I said, no, no, no. Did you ever carry any African American that is investing in Ghana? I never saw a picture of you carrying them up, elevating them up. And that we started making that noise, calling on our leaders on the continent, the African Union, the president. We tweeted and like, did you hear what is happening out here? How come you're so mute? How come you're so silent? So in that spirit, it did not even happen again that we were staying on the social distance. We just got now into a race space. And that's how Pan-African Daily TV came up to be like the medium connecting the continent and its diasporas. And in that connecting the continent and its diasporas, now I got now to say, even me, I'm just a middle. I'm a facilitator, like Professor James Moore would always say. I'm just a medium. Now I need to get experts. We need to put our voices on the ground. The one man show and talking that we used to do or just ramble. Now let's go down to the bottom. And that's how the guests start coming, all sat, particularly from the Americas, because I think from the diasporas, because that's where our history is deeply rooted. Your research, you're talking about Ma'at. I heard about Ma'at for the first time when I was here on the continent because we're already Ma'at ourselves. We don't study it. Right? We don't study it, we just leave it in everything. All this aspect of giving or justice to this, we just know if you do something from the time you grow up, your mother will tell you, you do something is going to happen back to you at the same time. If you tore your foot on the your if you had it you kick the stone, right, when you're going to the farm, or something will happen to you, you were cooking and some oil would fall on your skin, and my mom would say, yes, you did something to somebody yesterday. And that's how you're getting, and that's how we understood justice, equality, for my art. I grew up in my family, my brothers could till the farm, cook, do everything. All of them are there as citizens in the Americas there, but we could do everything, and that was equality. We didn't have a gender, or that this one would do this. Everyone just understood its role. But I would do the things that my brothers were doing, and they would do the things that I was doing. We all slept on the same bed with mom, with all of them. We bathed together. I didn't even know that I was bathing with my brother and I had to hide myself or this and that until, when we started getting matured, and my mom was like, hey, get out of here. You're not supposed to be very. You see, so those elements were elements that just grew with us. And we never knew if I was sleeping in the bed with my brother, they will mean something, or I had to have my own, or I had to do this. And my brother would even be like, oh, look at your earrings. So look at, so it was a oneness. And that's the spirit of oneness that we are. Until I came here, before I started hearing, oh, there's some jobs that are for women, there's some jobs that are for men, and then okay, these ones are being, and then I start hearing even more of, oh, the women are the ones that are so marginalized, and the elder and the children. Wow, in the village is completely different. The women are the queens, setting the rules, and the kings enjoy it. The kings, I mean, even from my junior brothers, they enjoy it. They will call you queens, mama. Oh, have you made food? Because we were the builders. And nobody saw you as a competitor. Nobody saw you like, oh, why are you doing this? It's not your role, or now you're a strong woman, or you're exercising too much power. We just enjoyed anybody that took up a responsibility, either to lead, either to organize things. And that's why leadership is not taught. Leadership, you just born into it. I keep talking about the village because Africa is a village. It's a compound, and that strategy, all the elements, we can put it in every kind of big language, or like I first of all told you, I'm not a PhD. Dr. Susan Tatah, I enjoy it so much, and that doctor, but my doctor is without a title on it. It's just like they call me queen, queen. I say I'm a queen without a crown, because nobody can crown you African. Nobody can crown you, my kings, because you are the queens and the kings. You don't need any crown. Nobody's good enough to put a crown on you. So, and that spirituality of being down on the ground on the earth is exactly what we are doing at the One Africa Conference, and it's exactly what I'm doing here. So I want to thank you all so much for having me.
Indeed. So much wisdom here. And you can get more of that if you purchase your ticket and go to hoppyfilm.com and reserve your seat digitally or in person for this coming Saturday and Sunday, April the 30th and May the 1st at the Doubletree Hotel. And
Yep.
I look forward to finally meeting you in person. And
Yes.
so I reserve a warm hug for you. And I can't wait to hear your conversation and to see your presentation. And hopefully I can get a few words because I'll have my camera and I'll be walking around, uh, you know, uh, getting people's thoughts or whatnot to compile for just a brief video. But I'm telling y'all need to, again, I shared the link to the Pan African TV YouTube page, and she has an array of special guests. Our elder Professor James Small has already been on there. Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Brother Taki, the creator of the film, but some other well-known continental Africans, as well as uh, Brother Maponga. I want to try to get him on the program as well. Uh,
Oh,
South
I
Africa.
would, yes, I will make that happen. This how flexible and how they love to just connect back to their missing part out there. They love it. If I could give him a call now and said, you know what, my king, you have to be here. He's just gonna dive in. He would like give me share the link. That's how flexible. But one thing I want to say, we're the voices of Africans worldwide on the Pan African Daily. And so, if you have a talent, you have anything that we just hold our conversations on. We are not only for some class, we host from anybody. It's our voices
Mhm.
collectively. If you can contribute in one way or the other to teach, to share your experiences, what you've been through, you're welcome to be my guest anytime, any so. Yes.
Indeed. Again, it has been an honor. I wish we can go longer, but I know it's early, and you uh, have been very busy. So I appreciate the time that you're sharing with us. I don't take it for granted, and not only your time, but the people who are watching. I know you could be doing anything else, but you have chose to be here with us to engage with us in this conversation. And so I appreciate each and every one of you and your continued support. So please continue to support by liking the video
Mhm.
and sharing the video. Again, I will be rebroadcasting this later on tonight. And we're going to get the word out. So I look forward to this coming weekend. So we're just that close that I could say this coming weekend is the One Africa Power in Unity conference.
Hmm.
And so, and also check out uh, my interview on her channel that
Yeah.
happened this past Friday, and
Yes.
so we have a conversation there as well. So again, visit the channel. It is the link is in the is be in the description as well as in the chat for those who are on Facebook and on YouTube. And again, Twitter doesn't allow the direct interaction, but hopefully we can help them out with that soon. And so, is there anything that you want to share before you go? I'll give you the last word.
Yes, I want to share the one last thing,
Mhm.
to say we talking about this power and unity, and we have a lot of ways that we are building this extensive relation. And one of the projects that we're coming up is intermarriage between us, because
Mm,
we have so much allow our spaces to be determined, particularly, the key unit of us is the family. And
mm,
so we say we have to intermarry within us. We have to reproduce us as
mm,
extensions of us. But most of this thing we saying it because I know on the continent and in the diaspora, love is everywhere. But I strategically is coming up with this project called Black Love Family is to
mm,
merge us into it. And please, hey, you would be a privilege to get your love of your life on the continent, and so you can dilute all this past, or on the contrary as well, whether it's a man or a boy, we have to intermarry in the village that has it was. They would select. When I came out here, the first thing my mom tell me is, I don't want, it already, don't even try. You understand? So
mm,
exactly, that's what I'm saying. And so this project is very essential. It's not just because we're gonna do it like just put a platform where people just come and just abuse one. No, this is consciously made, and so I'm looking forward. If you're a bachelor or single and you'll be wondering, Hey, queens are on the continent, or kings are also on the continent, or in the diaspora. We cannot be alone. We have to be together.
Mm.
I'm also coming to look for my king. Maybe I'll find him like Eddie Murphy said. I'm going to look for my queen and find one at Prince. I don't know whether there will be any prince around there. So um, yes, no, that's the spirit. I'm serious on this. Family is our unit. And if you see how
Mm.
the breakers, they start from the family. They start by taking our men, putting them into prisons, and that's why they're the most targeted. You have to watch that conversation with Professor James Moore. Why is the black man the most targeted in terms of racism? So you would see they have to first of all take the king and then render the queens as free women or vulnerable so they could always get access to the queens, and when they get access to the queens they get access to the children. So unit as a family is what I cherish and I privileged. And so, hey, that is coming up. Get ready.
Indeed.
Get
As we say all the time here, black love is black power.
yes.
And matter of fact, one of our prophets out of the diaspora is the late Dr. Amos Wilson,
Mhm,
and he wrote a text called "Blueprint for Black Power." And I don't know if it's chapter two. No, chapter two is a definition of power. I know chapter three is culture as the basis of power.
mhm,
And then it's either chapter four or five where it talks about family as a source of power.
mhm,
And that is something that we stress. I even wrote a book about it. The text is called "Where's the Love? How
mhm.
Language Can Reorient Us Back to Love's Purpose."
Yes.
And because I asked the question, what would from the African perspective. So I went in, and ironically, it all comes back to even that thing that I talked about earlier about
Mhm,
open-hearted sharing
mhm,
and family and the like
mhm.
that's the basis of what love is. And so but that's another conversation for another day. So I really love that mission in that particular projects, and we want to see this grow and be successful, because that's one of the things that we stress a lot, at least here in the Mbongi. And so that phrase is something that we mean, that black love,
Can I
African
just
love is
can I
power.
just keep something
Go
on
ahead.
that? I'm sorry. You see the policy or now what they call polygamy, because that's
Mhm.
also one part. I'm from a polygamous home, and I
Mhm.
worked on that project for long to even see how it came. My grandmother was a polygamist in a polygamist family, and my great grandmother. And then I started asking, not asking because I had a problem, but
Mhm.
asking when I got out here, just like you're saying. And you would not believe it that everything, just like everything has been turned around, and that's why I want you kings out there to understand it is okay. And our queens, this never was a theory from the kings, it was a theory from the women.
Mhm.
Polygamy is a motherhood, it's a cult of our mothers. I'm working on that, and I'll be doing special sessions for you on that. And this was not just one way. It was a community thing. It was our mothers that sat together and say, we need to bond together. We need to do this. I don't want to give you details into this because I would really want to get people that are saying, yes, it's my thing. I love to hear it. I want to expand on it. Then I will give strategically to that target audience. But just understand that the power of the unity and the power of recreation and the power to break down every kind of jealousy and hate and self-hate for yourself is the art of sharing. And polygamy is one of the components that we have. Now you see the reason we're not asking that question, why do they hate it so much? but they will prefer us to do same sex and this. But why do they hate that? Everything that they hate, question. It's not just, oh, the man getting so many wives and then could take care of them, or women thinking, oh, now because I'm single, I could run out and hide up under a brother because I don't want to work or because I don't want to pay bills. And then now we are more, and then we begin to do other things. Absolutely no go. You would, if I will get to the bottom of it, Kings, open your doors. Don't just take immobilian, big houses and cars and say, no, it's one on one. That's not our culture. No. But I'm not saying you must. I'm just saying for those that want to get it, the insight of what we talk about sharing and the spirituality of connecting without having to say, why are you with her? Why not me? Oh, why do I need my attention alone? That's already a deficit on you, my king. That's already a deficit on you, my queen. When you give, there's abundance. You can give to all. Queens can also get married to many. Madia said, why do you always say yes, I do to one? Do it to say yes, I do to so many. And then when it doesn't work here, it's gonna work there. But in the village setup, beautiful thing. I will never discourage anyone, but I will teach you how you can do it in a very noble and a sustainable way. You will love your life more. We need more children, okay? So they're already hanging and killing most of us. We need to reproduce again. That's the power, the fear, the growth, how we're expanding. And you're going to be keeping those children in bubbles and putting them in plastic and throwing them somewhere? No. I'm the mother of the continent. I'll tell you how it works. Thank you so very much.
And thank you again. And I look forward to that, hear more about that conversation and those lessons. And so, again, thank each and every one of you for joining us today. And make sure that you get your tickets to the One Africa, the Power and Unity Conference. And that'll be at hoppyfilm.com. And so I will see you all this coming weekend. And I need to do some finishing touches on my presentation. And I look forward to meeting our guest, Dr. Susan Tatah, who's joining us from Germany, by the way, for those of you who are catching us a little late. And but she will be in the building in Detroit on this coming weekend. So y'all have a blessed morning. Y'all get some rest if it's early for y'all. Um, and we will see you soon. And with that said, I am out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bayete. Bayete
Uh,
Ashe. Thank you. We see us next week.
Indeed. All righty.